Get ready for another microdose. And hey, if this information is jiving with you, then check out the full episode. The link is in the show notes. Enjoy the ride. Let's get a little bit deeper into that, sleep deprivation, right? I mean, so obviously, so we're going to eat more food, maybe, right? Also, we're going to make bad, poor decisions. We're going to be in a shitty mood, more likely with sleep deprivation. But so say someone listening to this show is like, you know what, I've only been getting 5 hours a night, and not going to sleep. And I think, part of that circadian rhythm we're talking about is also going to sleep at the same time every night. Is that correct? Or within that same kind of like zone of like whatever, 20, 30 minutes, right?
Right.
Right. So going to sleep at the same time every night, getting the same amount of sleep every night. So what if somebody has an erratic sleep schedule, doesn't see, sleep, or doesn't understand sleep as an asset, like we're talking about, and instead like going to bed at random times, but only getting like, 4 or 5 hours a night of sleep, and then waking up and like, dosing themselves with like caffeine or other stimulants in order to stay awake and think that, and stay at some sort of level of performance, right? So what if like you've been a chronic sleep deprived individual, or you've been working really hard for a couple of weeks and haven't been able to sleep, or John has a new child, River, and and his kind of sleep is all over the place. Like, is there
my wife's is more over the place than mine?
Okay, yeah. Well, is there, can we recover from sleep deprivation? What is the, I guess the math behind that? If there is, like, if I am to sleep deprived for 2 months, it's going to take me 2 weeks of like really deep sleep, so anything about sleep deprivation, please.
So that's a really great question. And, we've tried to kind of figure out, is there some magic formula for doing that? What we see is that people that sleep deprive themselves over long periods of time with chronic sleep deprivation, in terms of recovering, many of them suffer from sleep disorders. There's shift work, sleep disorder. There's various kinds of disorders that we cause ourselves, or, our jobs cause. There's another syndrome called behaviorally induced insufficient sleep syndrome.
Wow.
A lot of words. This basically, we do things like I know my son used to do this. He would stay up all night playing video games. So, he did this to himself. So, but in terms of looking at what we can do and what we know how to recover from that, if that's if you have a sleep disorder, you got to be treated. There's treatment. I mean, there are sleep physicians, board certified sleep specialists that can help with that. And I think mindfulness is probably a really important piece of that perhaps doesn't get addressed as effectively by the physician, by the medical side of things. But I think there's certainly acknowledgement that it's got a big role. But so there's a term called sleep banking, where, if I'm going to have to do something like, okay, Will or John, you're going to have to stay up. You're going to have to take care of the kids. You could take a nap today. If you're going to have to stay up at tonight doing something or whatever, you could take a nice, 2-hour nap today. That will help you a lot if you're going to have to do something at night. So there's a real thing called sleep banking that helps a little. But in terms of this chronic thing, recovery can be very hard. And I think there's a lot of work that's been done that looks at what we call circadian scarring, where you've beat up on your circadian system to the point that your body no longer remembers how to sleep.
Wow.
But
wow.
There's some great research, there's some great work that's been done that with the use of light and melatonin, slow release melatonin, those kinds of things can really help reset that circadian rhythm. But if listeners think that they have a problem, please, get some help. But I certainly think that mindfulness and meditation, a lot of the insomnia treatments can certainly go a long way toward addressing these things.
Hey, thanks for joining us on this journey. Small doses lead to big changes. If you're vibing with this snippet, then take a listen to the full episode by clicking the link in the show notes. If you would like to plug in deeper to what we're doing, head to mentalkingmindfulness.com or text MTM to 33777. Until next time, peace.